Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me, Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This is Legit Paranormal Open Bar. I like saying that. I was excited to say that. It is a Monday night, January 16th, 2023. Getting old. It is 116-2023 for the math geeks. The best I can do is... God damn, I don't know what I can do. 6 plus 1 is 7. Times the 1 is 7. And then you can just add the other side and get 7. That's the best I can do with the math geeks. Joining me, however, is Buddy Money. There. What's up, buddy?
Good evening, Mike. How you doing? It's kind of funny seeing you on a Monday, but kind of reminiscent seeing you on a Monday evening. It's nice that it's open bar because I picked this up coming home from the New Hampshire liquor stores. It was on sale for $40, which is normally a $60 bottle of liquor. It's a really something to be said about Johnny Walker Scotch. Black label, of course. Don't stay away from the red. It's douche in a bottle. But
that was a 50% savings.
And then I have some delicious beers. Treehouse Super Treat, which as always, Mike, it's always a super treat to be looking back at your face. So it's a good evening. I look forward to tonight's discourse.
So you know that I'm a gambler, and you know that I'm great at making picks. You know
Right.
this now. I predict is now 3:10 into the show that by 50 minutes I won't understand a word coming out of your mouth.
That's a possibility. I'm only going to have one glass of scotch, Mike, because it's a good one, and I want to save it maybe for a later time in my life. But
yep,
I'm hanging out here on the shelf.
I'm at the bar, by the way.
Yeah,
the guys in the back are talking about something that I don't know. I have no idea. Hey, let me bring in Jai Mack. What's up, Jai?
Hey, how's everyone doing?
It's here's how we're doing. Sunday nights we get fired up, right? Yes. And then now we got a different show every night. So it's like, what do we do now to make things differently? Because I mean, look, at legitpodcast.com, we now have a paranormal show from Friday to Sunday. Right? Or Sunday to Friday would make more sense if I was intelligent, right? Sunday to Friday. Yeah, just because we don't do Saturday.
We don't do anything on Saturday, Mike.
That should be the one rule we stick with no matter what happens to these podcasts. We are not doing Saturdays, guy. We can't do them.
Right.
You need a day off, Jai, right? You need one day to say, like, this is it. I'm not doing shit.
Exactly.
Well, so here's what I'm going to talk about. So Legit Paranormal Open Bar is basically a chance for anybody to come on and discuss anything paranormal, bring up a topic. I would like that to be led by people within the Legit Podcast family. We can rotate people every week. Kevin Hart wanted to lead a show. You know, he could lead a show, open bar. Same thing with Rick Lysick until he gets his show up and running. He can host the show if he'd like. So I'm going to put on the floor a topic that we need to discuss. So, Jai, the old house you used to live at. Okay.
Yes.
Last time we talked. Buddy, what information have you found out about her location?
Okay, so I contacted a few local investigators out that way. I was also able to
hold on. Jai, you okay with talking about? You're okay with us talking about this, right?
Yes,
right.
I'm fine.
Word.
Yeah.
My bad, buddy. I want to make sure, because if she was like, and you're talking, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do, guy?
Okay. Reached out to the town and looked into the town records. While there wasn't a lot available over the internet, I need to get in touch with somebody that will do the legwork for me out in Ohio. That's why I'm trying to get in touch with these guys through Ohio. Brian Parthamore, I think is my dog is barking crazily upstairs. So that's that. However, there were some like huge history into the land. I'd say beyond the house's history. I'd say the house was probably no more than about 50 or 60 years old. Whereas the land history, like Jai had said on the show, that she found arrowheads. She found Indian arrowheads in the backyard. That there's significant history of Native American, not only Native American history, Native American battles. What is it? Oh, what's that Native American tribe? The Shaughnessy was big in that area, and they fought the colonization by the then English and then the American colonists.
Oh wait,
so there was a lot of battles in that very neighborhood.
So in that neighborhood, you had Native Americans defending their land.
Yeah.
Oh, this sounds like a poltergeist movie. Jai, that's a
right up the road.
What's poltergeist?
right up the road to the village where Tecumseh was born in. He was one of the big leaders of Shaughnessy people against people like President Andrew Jackson and stuff like that. But
all right, so let's go back through Jai, the memory of this. Do you have any Indian? I just said it again. You know what? I apologize.
Native
for that.
American. It's okay.
You know what? Look, here's the thing. It is a bar. It's open bar. So I don't apologize, but I do. Here's why. People forget that you're born in like decades, right? Where you were taught a word and you didn't think anything was wrong with it. Indian is just one of those ones that I catch myself all the time because I even relate it to sports. So I apologize. I'll stick with Native American. My bad, but that's a hard one for me. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Did you see any Native American type images, or do you remember like maybe anything that was reminiscent of that? Like the things you saw, and all the things you saw. Did you see anything Native American in nature while you were at the house?
Nothing other than the pottery. I mean,
like
the shadow figures wouldn't have like feathers on them, or anything. Like I never saw an apparition that looked like a Native American or anything. But like I said, I did find arrowheads and pottery, like literally like within 2 feet away from the house.
All right, so check this out. Sorry, the apparitions. All right, so say we're at the mall, right? Me and you were sitting down because Buddy wants to go shopping. And we're like, oh Christ, and we're waiting for him, right? And we're making fun of people as they walk by, which is what I do when I go out. So we'd be cracking on everybody that walked by. Now, your apparitions walk by. What are they like? Do they look like they might be English? Like what vibe did you get from them?
They were all black. They were just shadow people.
All right,
so I either saw shadow people or I saw like white mist.
All right. So, buddy, that means they were a human form, is what she's seeing. She's seeing things.
Yeah, she was seeing a shadowy form, which I know there's a lot wrapped around with shadow figures, and people are like, oh, she had shadow figures in her house. That's not necessarily something that I subscribe to. I myself have seen shadows, like when I was younger, as I built myself more towards a closer attunement. Wow. I feel like I've seen people and then they're not there. I've seen actual people and thought they were human beings and then they were gone.
All right. So you lost me. I don't know whether you believe in it or not, but here's what I'm going to say. I like totally believe in shadow people in the sense that evil does walk in the shadows. That's where it would belong, right? Only makes sense to me on that one. So, however, and when I ever say the word however, I really mean however. It could be that and orbs are the most disputed ones, in my opinion, because that's trickery of the eye. Plus, I'm old and I can see shadow figures sometimes. They're not shadow figures. I just can't quite see out that eye right. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I'm not saying you didn't see shadow figures. I'm saying that they could be the most disputed. Them orbs, in my humblest opinion.
Let me just throw a quick my opinion on shadow figures,
and then I'm going to say something.
No, I can't wait for Buddy's opinion.
If you can see in the back of me, in the window behind me, you can see that the shadow of my head
and the loom,
like that's in front of me.
Yes,
right?
with the looms. Wait a minute.
Right.
Whoa.
Right? If my body wasn't here,
Wait a minute. How can your shadow be on the window?
I get a shade going down, Mike. There's a shade. It's a clear shade, so it's
all right.
Just go with it.
My bad.
So you see the shadow of what would be my head, right? It's moving.
Yeah.
You can kind of see it, but my big body blocks it. Now, if I'm a ghost, the energy of my body is manifesting before you, and you're seeing that shadow. Isn't it just the same effect? Isn't it just light passing through an object and the shadow casting behind it? It doesn't have to be something evil and awful. Can it just be a shadow? Can it just be something to do with physics? I don't know. I'm just putting that out there.
Wow, you put a lot
It
out there.
can, but it can, but I can honestly say, at my house where we grew up, it felt evil. When it was the dark shadows, it felt
Why
evil.
did it
When it was
feel
the
evil?
light shadow, the white mist, it didn't feel. It wasn't evil and scary.
What about it felt evil? That's what I want to get to. I want to.
Like your hairs would stand up. You would, like you would get nervous. You would feel like you're not supposed to be there. Like someone's gonna harm you.
Okay,
But then when I was around, like the light mist, I never felt that way.
Okay, I feel that all the time. Honestly, I go into not all the time,
Mhm.
but I mean, in a lot of investigations, I'll have nervous feelings. The hairs on the back of my neck will stand up. I don't
Well,
necessarily
right,
attribute that
yeah.
to anything evil. That's my body's way of picking up on the change in the atmosphere. That's how I see it.
Yeah.
Wait a
Well, I
minute.
mean, also, I guess as a child, it felt
Right,
evil
it comes
as a
off of-
child. I'm older now.
But Jai, here's the big kicker. Did other people feel the same feelings you felt with the different
Yes.
things? So, see, buddy, that's where it
Yes.
gets. So once you get more than one person at a location, speaking of shadow people, that's where it gets okay. And I'm just being honest. Like if I didn't know Jai at all, when she first mentions that she saw shadow people, you think, okay, you're listening. And by the way, try to say she saw shadow people, buddy. Go ahead.
She saw shadow people.
It's not easy to say, my friend.
It's not. I don't.
So what I'm
agree,
trying to
but
say
okay.
is, when you got people to back you up, that's when it gets to be a little bit scary. Now, the other thing too is, for the record, the dark does make kids scared, and the light tends to make kids like, oh my god, the light. So that plays into it. Now, John, I'm not trying to disprove you. I'm trying to hit every angle
No, it's okay.
that somebody would before we,
Mhm.
bring it back around. So there's that. Now, buddy, my issue is, so Jai, what did you see the shadow people do? Like physically?
All I would see them do was they would just walk in my room and just stand in like at the end of my bed.
Now,
Just I that at that when that once they would stop, I would get up sometimes and run out. But if I didn't run out, then I just had covers on me, calling on Jesus.
so wait, through the wall?
But I did. No, not through the wall. My back in the day, my mom had plastic runners in the hallway.
Mm-hmm.
You remember those?
Of
and
course.
so I would be laying down, and I would literally hear on the plastic runners. I would hear them
I've
walking.
heard that. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, like that. Like I always knew they were coming to my door because it happened every single night that I lived in that house. Every single night.
So
and you would hear you would hear them walking, and then across my door, you would see like 3 or 4 shadow figures, and they were just they were blacker than black.
Yeah.
Like blacker than black. And you like clear as day, they were shadow people, and they would walk in my room and just stand there every single night. And then there's some stories that I still haven't even shared with you guys.
I mean, I completely agree with you. Where I've seen shadow figures walk out of rooms, walk right in front of my face, and disappear. I've seen that, and it was absolutely terrifying in the moment. So I'm not.
It is. It is.
With you. And just looking at it from a objective point of view, I think could it be more like just the way light is reacting to these objects, to these manifestations, rather
but the
than
light's not changed. But the light's not changing
you know?
in a room. You know what I mean?
Right. And this is at nighttime, like when the lights are off and
Right.
I'm
It was
laying
very
in
dark
bed
in the situation I was
and
in as well.
I'm
Yeah.
already accustomed to the dark,
Mm-hmm.
to
All right.
seeing in it, you know, before.
So, Jai, you put it on the table. Tell us one of the stories, because we're gonna make Buddy
Um,
believe here.
there was a time when my dad and my stepbrother, um, they told when I was getting ready to go to bed into my room, and they kept telling me like, good luck," and I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And my dad agreed that it was the truth because I thought at first I thought my stepbrother was joking, but they said they saw an old lady leaning over me, rubbing my eyebrow. This is not the first time that's happened. Um, I was seen when I was a baby. At my parents looked at the top of the stairs. This was in the house prior to the one we lived in. They looked at the top of the stairs and because they heard me and I was supposed to be sleeping. I was literally at the top of the stairs in a ghost arms, rocking in a rocking chair. And it was an old lady. And then there also was another time when I was told again that there's this old lady that, and you know, I've heard about the hag and all of that stuff. So I don't know, but it's more than one time I've been told about that one as well.
So your dad saw the old woman on 2 occasions.
Yes, my father saw it on 2 occasions. My mother one time.
Sorry. So your father say that it was the same old lady?
They did not. They did. They never said whether it was the same old lady or not.
Wouldn't
Okay.
you want to know that?
Well, yeah, but you know what? I didn't think about it, and now they're both gone. So
Ah,
yeah,
you know what?
I
That's the worst
wish.
part too.
I wish I thought of it. I'm
History
sorry.
dies. History dies sometimes.
Yeah,
There's
it
nothing you
does.
can do about it. You
It's
know.
it's kind of cool how we explain it to children. I remember working in a group home in Woonsocket when I first had an experience where a shadow figure walked out and walked in front of me. One of the little boys. It was a group home for boys ages 5 to 12 years old. One of the little boys, he's about 8 years old. He kept waking up in the middle of the night, screaming, crying, saying he saw a man. The man was like rubbing his arm like that, right? And he'd wake up to this almost every
See?
single night every of the week. His mother,
Hmm.
the licensed social worker. So a licensed social worker is the one of the heaviest clinical licenses in Rhode Island. To hold something
Hmm.
like this, you got to be on point with your stuff. Her, the
Right.
clinician, the mom, and another like manager at the group home told this kid, convinced this kid that it was a ghost that he was seeing. Yes, it was a ghost. It's the ghost of your grandfather who just passed away. Probably was the ghost
Hmm.
of the man who lived there. But for the clinician to say, Jeremy, you're seeing a ghost
Hmm.
every night. That's the ghost of your grandfather coming to check in on you, making sure you're okay. It blew my mind then, and it
Hmm.
still blows my mind today to think what we tell kids to ease their
Right.
mind about the supernatural. It's mind blowing.
What you mean? Like you'll tell a kid that it's a ghost to ease their mind, but tell them it's like Casper, basically.
And it's a grandfather who just passed away,
Right.
ironically enough, but it's probably not. It's probably the same ghost that every other kid who's lived in this group home has experienced.
But Jai, you get the Casper reference. What I mean by that, it's a friendly
Yes.
ghost.
Yeah, I get it.
That's
Yeah.
what you tell kids,
I wish
right?
mine had said they were Casper. That's all
All right. Did they ever communicate? Talk?
right. I mean, one time I was in the shower and I heard my father call my name, like loud as day. And my father was military, so you know, we had to say yes or no, sir. We weren't allowed just to say yeah or no or what. Definitely not what. Um, but so I was like, yes, sir, and I rushed out of the shower to see if he needed something, and he wasn't even there.
Right.
And I'll never forget that.
It's
He
kind of
was
scary
not
when you
there.
hear a disembodied voice, and you know you're
It
like
is
say the only one in the building or the only one in
right.
the area. I was with Joey Paranormal, who may or may not show up this evening, and Charles Reese of Ocean State Paranormal last year at Fort Adams in Newport.
Hmm.
and Charles went back into an area to grab his recorder. There was nobody else within at least 300 yards of us. We were separated by many buildings, stone foundations, in an old fort. And Charles came out and he said, "Hey, I think I heard a ghost." So we all go back in and was like, "What? You heard a ghost?" He's like, "Yeah, I heard a man say hello." So we all walked in. I said, "Hello, spirit. Is there somebody here?" And clear as day, we heard it on. We got it on audio. We got it on video. We all heard it with our ears. The man said hello, like right there in front of us, and it still gives you the creeps to think about it. You know, it's like we all heard this. It was clear as day. We all heard this. This has happened multiple times, and as many times as it happens to me as an investigator, it's never less scary. It's always like, oh my God, there's like somebody that's there that's not there, you know?
So, Jai, when we kicked this off with Buddy, when we first got into this with him, we did a show. It was me and the genius Kev were the host. We did a show with Buddy live at the Varnum Memorial, and they had a guitar speaker. That's to me, that's what they had, and it was a spirit box. But to me, it was an amp. That's what it is.
It's an amp.
So Kevin Hart can explain it beautifully because he set it up. Okay. It was his show.
I can explain it beautifully too. Give me a chance. What it basically does is it skips channels.
Right. I know.
Never lets it settle on one of the channels, right? So it's a constant change, right?
Constant.
So technically, if you get a sound coming through, it shouldn't be able to jump channels. That's just how that works. You can't, like, if you ever recorded something and you got it on tape, it's there. You can't. Oh, you just get. Anyways, buddy, I just lost my train of thought because I just saw a picture of.
We were at Varnum. We were listening.
I know.
Spirit box. The amp.
I know that's wrong. My problem is amp. Someone just sent me another Madonna thing. I'm getting bombarded by Madonna photos. They know how much I get creeped out by it right now. I don't know what to say. If I'm sorry or if I'm what, I don't know what, but I don't want to see her anymore. I don't want to see. Please stop sending me photos. Varnum and Buddy's sitting there and he's got a guitar amp and skipping channels. So he's talking to it, asking questions. We're talking about it. It's doing nothing the whole show but going, and they're asking it questions. It's going, and I'm like, it's a quarter of, I'm always mindful of the time of the show and I'm getting happy. I'm starting to get like a warm feeling because I'm thinking we're going to go this whole show and there's not going to be a single noise and I just can't wait. Like, that's me. That's what I'm rooting for. That's how messed up I am. I'm rooting for no sounds. Let's get out of this and then be able to tell Buddy, see, I don't believe it. I don't know what you're talking about, right? It's like, if you go back and watch the show, it's on YouTube. It's like at the 5-minute mark around there. Yeah. And Buddy asked the ghost if he likes what someone's done with the place. He asked a question and he goes, and I swear to you, you hear clear as day, and you can watch it on our YouTube video. Absolutely. And him and Kevin Hart, it was like a Def Comedy Jam. They exploded out of their seats. They were like, "Oh!" And we were like, you can hear me audibly going, "Who did that? Like, who did that?"
Yeah,
like, that's impossible. And they're like freaking out because it's like they know it came out of the amp. And I'm like, eventually me and Kevin were like, we gotta accept that just happened. Okay. It was the weird. I mean, Buddy, right? Like, did you expect?
And to top it all off, what I mean, Mike always does the absolutely perfectly. What he doesn't put in is the question after that. We asked who we were talking to, and we got a confirmation it was in fact Jim Wilson, the former curator of the place. It's Jim. Hi, Jim. Over the same spirit box.
Wow.
And that whole hour it went. We asked various questions. I asked a question very specific to this man because there's a lot of changes. There's been a lot of changes at the Armory in the last year. And the room we were in a giant drill hall, And at the end of the drill hall was where this guy used to live. It was his apartment. He lived for 34 years. And another gentleman saw an apparition of what appeared to be Jim crossing the very area where we were set up doing the spirit box session. So it was seemed very poignant to mention Jim, and we got an automatic response, which was, as an investigator, is absolutely awesome.
Isn't Jim the one who passed away like a year ago? like last week.
No, that's Tim.
Tim.
Tim was the guy who saw Jim's spirit cross the stage when they carried chairs upstairs. No,
Tim,
died
Jai,
a year ago.
it's a little bit. I don't want to say. I use the word weird a lot because I have no other adjective. But
Okay.
we filmed a show with Tim. All he literally did was take the camera and go around the Varnum Armory and show off stuff and explain it.
Right.
It was such an awesome show, and it's sad because he passed like not long after we had him on the show, and then now it's a year, right? Which that's weird. And then on top of that, if you go back and watch the show, you don't really see him. You hear his voice the whole time. If you strip the audio, it's which I've done. I've stripped the audio. You can't say spooky because it gives me like weird feelings. Is what I'll say. I'll leave it at that. Like
we did 3 shows about the Varnum Armory. We did Tim, Patrick, the curator and now president, and Maria, the conservator, and each one of them had a great show. But Tim did an interview, and then he walked us around for like 40 minutes and just Tim used to give some of the best tours there. And I've had the privilege of not taking his spot, but becoming a docent myself and doing my own tours there. It's just an absolutely phenomenal location. 6 Main Street, VarnumContinentals.org. Look us up. Schedule a tour. You won't be disappointed.
That leads me to a topic that's a bit taboo when it comes to what people like to talk about, especially what's on YouTube. But the Varnum Armory, we were talking to a couple of them. I won't name who he was, but they had like a really good display of German Nazi type soldier uniforms, and they can't put them on display because of protests. Now, here's the thing: if they've got a section up about actual history and they're showing these Nazi uniforms, I mean, if they're giving out like Nazi cookies, you know what I mean? They're giving out like all kinds of Nazi swastika stickers you can put on your jacket like a hat. Then I'm against it. What I'm saying is, if they've got everything in a classy way where they're showing the importance of a uniform, why it was worn, and the reason behind it, like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's just history to me. Like that to me is like, I don't know. It's like I would want to know about it. Like again, I want to know about stuff that I don't like. I don't want you to hide that from me or protect me from it because it might upset me. Like, let me see it and let me understand it. I want to know about it because like you should kind of know about the other side, the quote unquote bad side.
Not only is it history that everybody should know, it's history that's connected somehow to someone or something in Rhode Island. So, for example, the World Wars room, they have a samurai sword that was captured by an officer from East Greenwich, where the armory is, while he was in it was either Saipan or Okinawa. He took it from a dead officer. It's a samurai sword. It's absolutely phenomenal. Another thing is a piece of a plane that was shot down in, I think it was France. The guy, again, he was from East Greenwich. He took a piece of this plane, and then his son donated it to the Varnum Continentals years later, and it's the Nazi emblem from a plane wing that was shot down by the Allies in France. It's just a piece of history. It's something we can't forget.
No, but do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying though about that?
If I could interject, Lemmy loaned a book to me one time. Only book I ever asked to read from him. Because he liked to read, and it was his favorite book, like literally his so favorite that he took it with him. Okay. It was about the swastika, and it went back in history and talked about like it actually used to be a Lucky Charm. Coca-Cola used to put swastikas there. Yeah, it was a Christian symbol. It was widely accepted because it was considered a good luck charm until Hitler came along and gave it a bad name.
All right.
So I think it's how you look at it.
But that just gave me an idea to write a book called Hitler's Mustache, because he also ruined that. Nobody can have a mustache that's just like this anymore. because you look like Hitler. You could try to be Charlie
Right.
Chaplin, but you're not going to be Charlie Chaplin. So they ruined a lot of things. So see what you're saying? Like, yeah, you can't even ask about the origin of it. Like, people don't even want to. Like, I would love to know the origin of everything. That's just why would you not want to know where stuff come from? Like, but they don't want to. You just start saying that, and you get people that act like they got headaches. People act like they got headaches when it's stuff they don't want to discuss. Now, you would want to know about a country that took on the world, right?
Right.
Twice it decided to go to war with the world. You know what I mean? I want to learn about as much as I can about those. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. So,
Mike, not only that, you think about stuff that happened in our own lifetime, like 9/11. We all clearly remember 9/11, right? We were all very well alive, and I was in my 20s. You were like you're probably in your 30s, whatever.
I was
But
in my 50s or 60s back in the
so
the
one of
2001?
the one of the newest sections of the Varnum Armory Museum is their they tore up an old office and they dug it out and they cleaned it out, and it's now their section of the War on Terror. So one of the objects that they're supposed to get into the museum, I saw one Jeffrey Ahern yesterday, and he's a trustee at the Armory, and he's telling me that a colonel that was he's a colonel now in the Rhode Island National Guard. He was in Boston, and he was responsible for towing the car of the guy. I forgot his name. Akbar. It was the guy who was in charge of the whole operation. They towed his car, and on the front seat of his car was the flight instructor's manual where they took when they went to flight school, and they got that. They're gonna have that on display at the Armory. So that's a little creepy in itself, but it's just like history that needs to be remembered.
All right, but you started it.
It repeats itself.
So I got to discuss it. I don't buy that at all, the story they give us. Don't buy it at all. I don't care. I'm never gonna say, yeah, I agree that all that happened was a bunch of planes smashed into a bunch of buildings. Because no.
It was complete terrorist act. Complete terrorist act.
Wait, you don't believe 9/11 really happened?
No, I think it happened. I don't think it happened.
They tried it in 1993. They tried to take down the World Trade Center, and then they figured out a better way of doing it 8 years later, Mike.
Listen, these buildings
I
were
think
made
it's government conspiracy.
they were made to withstand the impact of a Boeing 747. That's how they were built. Now, jet fuel, it's one of those liquids that burns topical. It doesn't incinerate and cause heat that would create lava, which is basically what they saw at the base. Now, I don't care what anyone says. I'll throw allegedly before I say this, allegedly. But I've heard from so many police and fire department videos and people on the scene, they all claim they heard an explosion. They all said there was a second explosion. And they knew the floors. All right? So a building falls the way it falls, demolition style, which is how it fell. Because if you blow out the bottom, like you're knocking down an old casino, that's how it falls. They didn't fall sideways. The plane didn't hit them, split them in half, and they fell funny.
They went down.
Somehow, gravity just kicked in, and they just went straight down to dust.
These buildings were built with a central spine, so that's what they focused on when they got fully loaded jets that were planned on trips out to the West Coast. They were loaded with the most amount of jet fuel. They crashed it right into that specific. I don't see any conspiracy behind.
First of all, planes don't carry. First off,
planned out terrorism, Mike.
First off, planes don't carry as much fuel as you think. Two,
they were flying to California from Boston. They were full. They were full.
Two, no, yeah. See, I know somebody that's a flight attendant that would disagree with you when it comes to being full going from side of the country to country.
Totally full, but
let me explain this to you. I am not saying two planes did not hit those two buildings. I'm saying they hit those two buildings. There was an explosion down below on both buildings, demolition style. Okay. Now, the week before, go look it up. They had an art display done and being put in and installed all throughout that part of the building. Those floors. Those are the floors that blew out. Look at the Donald Rumsfeld video of a couple days before 9/11, maybe like a day or two before 9/11, when he discusses the fact that there's $2 billion or $2 trillion missing from the budget. Now, it hit the Twin Towers. They actually were towers that handled a lot of stuff that went on, right, within the government. Those 2 towers went down. I agree with you guys now. That bang, planes hit them. They went down. I think there's an explosion. Okay. What about the 3rd tower that went down across the street?
Collateral damage.
No. From what? Nothing hit it. Nothing broke it. It just dropped all of a sudden. No collateral damage from the top of that building, unless the whole building, which it didn't. They get video of. You can see the roof. There's nothing hitting the roof. It just dropped. And that was the building where they did the checking. The whole investigation of that $1 trillion was being done in that other building. Why did that building go down? Okay, flip it now. If they're all planes, the one in Pennsylvania crashed into the ground, and what we saw looked like a Bugs Bunny hole with a bunch of garbage thrown in it. No plane parts, no nothing. And then they pull out an ID. Come on, let's flip it. The Pentagon. That wasn't a plane that hit the Pentagon. Don't even tell me that was a plane that made that hole in the Pentagon, because they've measured planes and they don't hit that hole. On top of that, the Pentagon doesn't have video of it. Really?
Right.
The Pentagon's cameras worked for a second, then didn't, then saw an explosion, and then, buddy, come on now. You're old enough to know if the cameras don't work at the Pentagon, they didn't want to show you something. I mean, we're old enough to know this now. Like Epstein. Oh, well, the cameras didn't work the night he killed himself. Well, that's because he didn't kill himself. Look at the way his neck was broken. Look at all that shit. Like, they lie in the most obvious ways, but we don't call them out on it. How do they not have video of it? How do they just have video of the explosion? Just the explosion? The good part? Guys, anything on that one? All right, let's flip it again.
No,
I have some. I got some.
All right.
When you're talking about the building across the street, you have to remember the vibration that was caused in the ground. So it was almost like having an earthquake. So if you were that close,
that would break the building apart.
It could cause enough damage to make that building fall down.
All right, it would. Let's agree that it might break one of the buildings. Now, why it picked the one that was like 2 buildings away and not the ones right next to it? We'll just call that good
There might have been
vibration.
some help.
We'll call it good
Right.
vibration.
let me
right?
just throw.
Wait a
this-
minute. So wait a minute. The vibrations hit that building and it fell, demolition style, free fall. Yeah, you guys know anything? Like, I mean, you guys are good.
Yeah,
ones.
let me.
You know
let
you're
me
gonna
just
blow
throw
the
a
bottom
little
out of something.
curveball at your whole conspiracy thought there, Michael.
Good.
So back that whole week of 9/11, right? The day before, my uncle, who is I don't really speak to him, so he's my godfather. He's a brilliant man, but he's a scumbag. His name is Bill Konecki. He's from North Providence. You can look him up. Actually, your friend, the little guy, he knows him. Anyway, Mike, Anyway, so Bill Konecki was in New York City, was in the mayor's office that morning when 9/11 happened. They were discussing different structural issues in the city. He did bridges, he did subway tunnels, he does all sorts of shit like that. He's a civil engineer. He's a very smart man. He got trapped in New York City for about a week and a half after 9/11, only because of initially because of the danger, because of what was happening, and then because he was in there assessing buildings. He came home for about a day or two, went back to the city to reassess all the buildings in the area that was slowly having structural issues because of the damage from 9/11. So there was a real, at the time, there was a real threat of these other buildings just collapsing.
Let me ask you this: did you guys
Well,
you knew that the jets were on a training session where they were told it was a training session as if planes were to crash into the building, and they didn't know when the call came in if it was real or if it was a drill, because they were already doing that drill within the days prior to it. Matter of fact, doing those drills made a lot of the jets so far away from the buildings because of the exercise they were flying that when they got called, they were literally as far away out of places they could be. And if you listen to any of the audio, they all go, like, is this hot? Like, because they couldn't understand. The guy was getting like all excited. They're like, no, this is real. And they're like, you can hear in their voice because they're like, so we're just out here planning for this, running a drill, and you're telling me this is really happening right now and I got to go? So here's the problem. First of all, what set me off, buddy, is the term war on terror. Or as George Bush would say, terror. The war on terror. Terrorist, terror. I don't believe in a war on a word. I think that's a great way to go into a bunch of countries and kill people and take what we want.
Okay.
Like we could have a war on envy or a war on comedy. You know what I mean? But a war on terror. That's like saying anybody that's in terrorists, you harbor terror or terrorists, we're going to go to war with you. That's a war. Like is that a war? Technically.
But should we allow these countries to still be able to harbor terrorists and fund terrorist activities like Iran has done for decades, like the Sudan had done for decades, and like Afghanistan did with Al Qaeda? Should we allow that for them to be able to do this?
But my biggest fear on that, buddy, my biggest fear on that is I would bet you $1 to a dime that we harbor more within our own states than our abroad.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's one of the. Anyways, that's one of those things that I don't buy. I don't care. It's one of those things I have put too much work into that, guys. The metal melted. It was like a lava beneath both the buildings, and they found what's in explosives, whatever, like that dust. Like you can't burn that metal of those buildings with jet fuel. That's the one point that they.
I want to see these studies that you're talking about.
No.
I think it's absolute bullshit,
dude. Joe, jet fuel is like kerosene. It's more related to kerosene than it is to like gasoline. You ever throw kerosene on a piece of wood and you light it and then just the fire goes along the wood?
Yeah, I've done that.
Look it up. That's more jet fuel, and jet fuel does not burn to the temperature that it takes to melt metal into like a lava. So I'm just saying, yeah, they did hit, but I think either there was a terrorist follow-up, right? Or this was all some oddly convenient, weird sort of way. Because the other thing that freaked me out always was the minute they heard about the buildings being hit, they took the vice president and they flew him to a bunker. And they let George Bush sit and listen to a story about a rabbit for about 5 minutes and then kept him at the school. So if the vice president is such a threat and you're so worried about him that you fly him to a bunker under the ground, why would you let the president be in a school of kids? Like that makes sense to me. Did you guys, did everybody pay attention when that happened? Like the vice president was such a big deal. He had to be in a bunker because they were worried about his safety. But they knew where the president was.
He was the brains of the operation. Let's figure it out there, Mike. Let's put 2 and 2 together here.
Again, I don't trust in the government.
He shot a man and got away with it, Mike, and said it was a hunting accident. This is a man I want as my president, not the guy who can't spell nuclear.
The last 2 presidents we've had could not spell nuclear. If you spotted them, the N, the U, and the C.
Right.
I'm being serious. We have not had. Look, I heard someone
say a lot of things Donald Trump couldn't pronounce.
Listen,
doesn't mean he's not a good president.
Listen, but he's an asshole. Here's the thing.
He's an asshole.
I was gonna say, don't get me to start because he's an asshole.
I voted for Biden. I'm not gonna say he's not an asshole. But...
Yeah. See, I would not. I knew.
I would never vote for him. Period.
I didn't vote for. But I could not, in good spirit, vote for either one. You can ask my wife. I think I wrote in.
Did
Johnny
you vote
Cash.
for your senators? Did you vote for your congressmen? Because that's where.
Yeah. That I did. Not that it matters. Not that it all matters at all. It don't matter. But anyways,
Congress is where it's at.
Look, I could not.
He couldn't pay me every dollar he has.
So first off, wait a minute. But first off, when he ran against Hillary, here's the deal I had with that. I hate Hillary. a lot.
Oh, I hate Hillary Clinton.
And I'm
oh my
scared
God,
of Hillary
politics.
more than anybody. So Hillary, I love you. Allegedly, I said that. I don't want any to be. I don't want to be on the Clinton list. I don't want any of that part. Thank you. There's a Clinton hit list. It's still going, by the way. It's still going.
Oh yeah, of course,
I'd like to have a drink with
of course.
I'm just
so I didn't like her. And here's what Trump did that made me go, this guy's gonna win the fucking election. He's gonna win the goddamn election. When they were like, yeah, you get all your money from this on your taxes, you cheat and you save this much on your taxes, and he's like, yeah, I did. And everyone's like, huh? And he's like, well, that's the way it is. I'm going to take advantage of the laws. She's the one that set the laws, like that. It benefits all the people that donate to her and donate to me. And they're like, so you're using. And he's like, yeah, I use it in my event. Like, who the freak says that? That's so truthful that I was like, wait a minute. The thing is, if you can cut through his bullshit and his horribleness, you'll realize this. One, if you look at the amount of media per negativity on him, it was at 90%, I think it was, or 89%.
Yeah.
No, I'm being honest. There was a number that they had. So basically what I'm saying is basically every 9 out of 10 stories that they did on him were negative. So anything he ever accomplished, they never really reported on. Like he actually here's the one thing that I like, again, and I don't like the guy, but here's the one thing.
Gas prices. That's all about gas prices.
No, wait. It's not just gas prices. It's just not the economy. There was not a bomb dropped anywhere in those 4 years. Like what he stopped Middle Eastern wars because of money. He made them sign a treaty that made them money so they didn't fight. Like now we've got wars everywhere. Trump. Gas is too expensive, and so we lost either way. But I think like if the asshole could have just shut up, some of the things he was doing was working. Like you said, a genius can be an asshole, right? You can have somebody that's really incredible at something.
Yeah, good policies.
They're just a jerk. Like I would probably.
Go ahead. He was on Twitter so much. I was like, okay, like you have a whole nation to run. Like, why are you tweeting every 5 minutes, calling people names like you're in kindergarten? Like, that's ridiculous.
Because they kept putting it on CNN. Because every time he said something, everybody jumped as if it was like literally like the gospel or like right. Here's the thing. So it got to the point where, if you guys all remember this now, if you said anything online at all that was pro-Trump or anything else that got you in trouble at one point, here's what got me in trouble. I actually said that I called it the virus that emanated from China. And because that's what they told us. That's all I said. And somebody went to war with me on that. And I was just realizing how people were being called out socially and attacked. Like friends of friends would go after each other if they thought they were going for the wrong team. And it's like, you guys are getting so riled up over this. No one cares. No one cares about you. No one's on your team. No one's really like we traded one old guy who was out of touch and just didn't need to be in office for another old white guy who's out of touch who shouldn't be in office. We lost either way, guys. The trade we made was like we got one who now just shuts up. You don't hear from him at all.
You know what, Mike, Donald Trump, he tapped the silent majority, dude. He tapped this giant group of people in this country who have given up on politics because it's the same boring shit and it's not benefiting them. And then along comes this guy, and he's saying Donald Trump's been in the news for forever. We've seen him in the news doing all sorts of crazy shit with real estate and having these wives that are like, a third of his age and stuff. And he comes out and he says shit that's not only makes sense, but it's funny. And he's challenging this dead pool of politics. He's challenging this society that all we've known for hundreds of years. And I think that's had all these people that have never voted ever come out of the woodwork and say, I'm going to vote for him.
It was the right
for the
time.
first time in my life.
It was the right timing for like someone like that, a maverick, we'll call it.
Right.
Just not him.
I
So-
never voted for Donald
Are you
Trump.
guys still talking about Trump?
Yeah, I got to say one more thing about him. I went down to Virginia.
I'm sorry, I did not
Definitely
agree with
paranormal.
everything y'all are saying. I'm letting you know now.
Well, tell me what you
But
disagree
go
with.
ahead.
I
What
go
do you
more
disagree with?
Democratic
Well-
than I do Republican. I'm just saying.
Hold on. What did you disagree with?
I believe that the people that he's talking about that Trump pulled out, most of them are racist bigots. I'm just gonna be honest.
Those are fucking idiots.
Um,
You couldn't even spell vote.
he
Forget
didn't
about
bring
vote.
back racism. Right. He didn't bring back racism because it's always been there, but he brought it to the forefront, which is good in a way because now you know who don't like you. But it's bad as well because now, they're kind of like teaming up. It's like we're going backwards. We're going backwards here. I mean, do you realize right now, if you do not have a vaccine, you cannot leave the country. We are literally trapped in the United States. Do you realize that?
Yeah, so, all right. So, I
And
think
the stuff they're doing.
I think that as awful as he was, what everybody was really mad at was the media and what they did to us and how they separated people. And they made everything political. The goddamn vaccine went from one team to the other. It was like hot potato. When Trump was talking about how he created this brand new super vaccine that's been made 2 years and ahead of time. It's unbelievable. You got Kamala Harris saying, I don't know if I'll take it, if it's Donald Trump's vaccine. The year passes, new president comes in. They didn't change vaccines. They didn't go, hey, let's make a new batch because we got a new president. It was the same thing. It rolled out. What happened? The Republicans said, I don't want to trust. I don't take it. I don't trust it. It flipped sides. They made it political. Can't stand it. Guys, let me ask you this.
Everything's made political, Mike. Everything.
Bigfoot. Right?
I was going to say.
Bigfoot.
It's a paranormal stuff.
I got a question about Bigfoot. Buddy, I talked about it last night. I hope you looked it up. I've watched 2 or 3 more videos. You know the guy, Mr. Ballin?
Oh.
Mr. Ballin, the guy with the long hair, used to be in the Army SEALs, or Navy SEAls. I mean, he's got the mustache. He wears like a gray flannel shirt with a hat on backwards. He does like the greatest like paranormal type stories. He did a story on that thing in Afghanistan. They had like some sort of like not evidence, but somebody who leaked the footage. Jai, in Afghanistan, it was in like early 2000s, I think. What they saw was they were called because they heard a growling or whatever coming from. They were going up these mountains. They're checking out all the mountain caves. They were way up, way up, way up. So a gigantic mountain, a cave. When they got like to where the front of it was, they realized the way it was structured, it was kind of built. And they were like, they backed up. Everybody backed up and they all took position. The growling they heard, they said it was like a man, but more like a beast. And suddenly a spear came out and impaled and killed one of the soldiers who was reported as dying on that mountain. They claim it was a 13 to 15 foot man with long red hair and a beard, literally making like animal skin clothing, and that he was like a giant. Here's the thing. There is some proof giants existed. Like, there's always a lot of talk about giants, too, and a lot of old mythology and stuff like that. Now, I get that Jesus was probably like 4'11" in real life. Like, he was like probably, 5 feet, 5'2"? If we're being honest, back then, I mean, he wasn't. I like to think of Jesus as 6 feet, as either 6 feet or as baby Jesus. Those are my 2 favorite Jesuses. But in reality, he was probably about 5'1". He was probably like Prince's height. So anyways, I don't know how I got Prince and Jesus together, but that's a really weird mix. Although if those 2 guys hung out, I'd hang out with those 2. Well, what I'm trying to say is Bigfoot, giants. Is there a correlation to what people have found for giants, what people think they've seen as giants, and then some people that see Bigfoot?
I'd just like to throw something out about that.
I'm waiting.
Paranormally speaking, so here in Rhode Island, we have this lovely site in
Paranormally
Cumberland, Rhode Island.
speaking,
Paranormally speaking,
it's a great
called
show. That's a
Nine
great
Men's Mystery.
show, buddy.
Yeah, right. It's a show.
Saturday mornings now. No, not Saturday. We can't do. But like Sundays at like 2:30, you should have like a cup of coffee, and it's Paranormally Speaking with Buddy there, and you just you, buddy, you. Good. I'm sorry, I'm brainstorming. Good.
All right. So paranormally speaking, here in Cumberland, Rhode Island, we have this site. It's actually the first war memorial in North American history. It was put up by a group of colonists that memorialized 9 men's misery, which 9 men were tortured by 9 colonial soldiers were captured at a local battle or escaping a local battle in Central Falls called Pierce's Fight in 1675. We'll get my history brain. And they were captured at going in and around the Narragansett summer camp in Cumberland, Rhode Island, at a spot that's called 9 Men's Misery, because they tortured these guys. They skinned them to death and then they burned them to death. It was absolutely awful. And they buried the colonial soldiers, buried them on the site when they found them in the days later. So one of the men buried there is a man by the name of Benjamin Buckland. He's from the Plymouth colony. He fought in the King Philip's War, and he's buried at this location behind the now Cumberland Library. He is thought to be a giant. He had 2 rows of teeth.
Yep.
He was about 6'8". He's been dug up a few times by medical students that have wanted to study him and figure out whether or not he was actually a giant or not. But
the guy had 6 fingers. The guy had 6. One they found had 6 fingers and 6 toes. That was the other odd thing.
So 1675 for somebody to be 6'8" was absolutely unheard of.
Yes.
The tallest man was about 5'5", and back in those days. So yeah, that's a local giant legend here in Rhode Island.
So Jai, basically what he's saying is that Central Falls has never been good.
Yeah, crazy.
It's true though. I've had some shit go down in Central Falls. Like, I make a decision if I'm gonna go to Central Falls based on when someone tells me that it's Central Falls. Like, what do you want me to go get? A TV? Where? Central Falls. Not that I'm gonna do that.
I'm not going to Central Falls.
What do you mean? What do you mean? I'm just not gonna deal with it, because it seems like, shit happens in Central Falls. So Jai, so there's Bigfoot, right?
I think people can tell the difference between a giant and Bigfoot.
Right,
I mean, let's keep it real. The Bigfoot that's described is covered in hair, blah blah blah. Which, of course, there are people who have a genetic issue where they do grow hair on their face and bodies. There are people that are like that. So I've also wondered about that, like if they were pushed at one time, pushed out of society,
ostracized into the woods,
and then they just started living on their own. And who knows? Maybe they were somewhere tall.
So here's what the issue I had was, though. So I'm all on the Bigfoot boat, listening to Bigfoot. I believe in Bigfoot to some degree, but then they started throwing the world of cryptids at us. Now, when you start rattling off Frogman, Dogman, Mothman, I mean, there's like an encyclopedia of them. That's where it gets, like, see, the paranormal world, what it does to itself is it shoots itself in the foot. You'll be like, in other words, like shadow people, to bring it all the way back. Some of it is so real that you can't deny it, and then some people see something that you just go, "Come on, man, that wasn't it." So it's like the integrity gets ruined because of all that. So, like, if you're seeing now cryptids with all these different heads, doesn't that now start to play into the psyche of the person seeing? Like, if you're seeing it in your own way, it had this head on it, or what do you think? Or you think there's that many different versions of things that we just don't know about?
Well, it's possible. The
Which
reason
one?
why I say it's possible is because, um, to see for someone to see a cryptid with six heads, it's possible just because we still don't know to this day what all is out there.
All right,
Um,
but all right, but
things can be they can cross sex or whatever, and they can create cryptids. But not only that, like with the multiple heads and stuff like that, like there's a place where there are frogs that like they're all born with like all extra you know webbed feet and everything else, and extra heads and stuff. So it is something that can happen.
all right. So that you're in the belief that all different types of cryptids can exist, buddy. I tend to think that it's the person seeing it that
I
puts.
believe it's
I've heard so many different sides of this, Mike. I've heard people who have like hundreds of witness accounts, and then I have other people who like think it's just like a ghost. I don't know what it is or what it isn't. I'm yet to see one myself. I'm more of a show me guy when it comes down to it, paranormally speaking. But
Mhm.
I don't. I'm yet to experience anything cryptid. Although
And
10 years ago, if you would ask me if bears were in Rhode Island, I'm like, no way, and now they are. So I mean, I just haven't. I'm yet to see one. I
Never
guess
know.
I don't know.
no, let me end with this on that subject. It's the only one that's really not had a lot of new information. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like the Loch Ness monster. It's kind of grown cold, like the trail. Like whereas
They all have. I
UFOs,
think. I feel
ghosts,
like
stuff
they
like
all have.
that are
Even
constant.
Bigfoot. The last video of Bigfoot was that one in the '70s, and that was the only video ever of Bigfoot. And there's people who think it might
There's
have been a guy
there's
in a suit. So
there are a lot more now. Check out Paranormal Caught on Camera.
all right,
No,
I
They
but
have
saw that.
knives.
There's some really spooky fucking videos of
the
that
thing
shit.
is about that film though,
I know.
that's the only film that they can't disprove in the movement of the animal. The way that his elbows
It's
moved, they talked about that was like what is it? What's the name of that film that
I
caught it?
forgot. It's been torn apart a million times, man.
But dude, yeah, but that if you read on it, it's the only one that they can't disprove the movement of the animal because a lot of the other things it moves in ways that like it just wouldn't move. Like you can tell that it's not somebody that's fully in control. But that film still holds the date. And the thing is, I believed about it more in the 70s. Not that I was born in the 70s. I was born in 2002 or 3. Anyways, moving on. I believed it more when I was a kid, but nowadays I get this feeling of like if we do have big feet, can I I'm gonna call them that. If we do have big feet and
big
cryptids,
feet.
I bet you the government has officially rounded a lot of them up. That's what I worry about, right? If they were really big feet running around, I think the government would have rounded them up by now. I do.
Mhm.
Like you think the government wouldn't like government's rounded up UFOs? They're in
Well,
contact with
yeah, they
UFOs,
do.
right?
I
I
mean,
don't
I'm
rounding
sure
them up.
they've
Term,
found
but
one.
maybe.
You don't think so? Yeah, why not? You mute
I'm
yourself.
sure that they
No, I
have.
said no. You think they have? All right. So you think the government
Yeah.
gets their hands around everything? Like they try to
I don't think
control as
every.
much.
I don't think. Yeah, they try to, but I don't think on everything.
So,
There's just
buddy,
too much
All
out there.
right. Let me
I
just
mean, look.
throw out a curveball. We say with trying to, or they are, or they aren't, and this is a big argument. Isn't it better that they are on top of this shit? I'm happy. I'm living a comfortable life. I don't have to worry about things coming from the sky or foreign invasion. I can
not
go to
yet,
New Hampshire, and I did, and I got a good scotch this weekend. I can do whatever the fuck I want to. So who
buddy.
cares what the government does and what they don't do? They're
So,
keeping me safe and they're keeping me happy,
all
and that's
right.
all that matters to me. Who
So
cares?
here's where I agree
It's
and
the
disagree
sky.
with you. Now, here's where I disagree with you.
USA.
Listen. All right, I'm gonna get on that. There's 10% of me that's like, or 20% of me that's like, they're not out to help anybody. They just want information and stuff like that. They're really just
Right.
bad people. But and quite honestly, buddy, that's like just living naively, which is the good part of what you said. I prefer to live like that most of my life because I have my own problems that I have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. So I don't really get involved in that kind of stuff. I've actually talked about it more in this show than I've ever talked about it. I'm glad to now have it down on film, footage, video. So Bigfoot, yeah, I guess so, right? The government, no, I don't trust, but I like living like a dog and not worrying about anything else but what's going on.
All right,
currently.
let me just throw this something quick factoid at you really quick.
Oh, factoids.
Factoid. We're two guys and guys from Fall River, from North Providence, from Smithfield, respectively. We're doing a podcast. We're talking about the government. We're talking about government conspiracies and how the government could be wrong. In any other, I mean, not any other, but I mean, in a lot of nations in the world, like say USSR or Russia or like
Don't start talking about
Germany,
censorship. Don't
any
start
of those
talking about
countries.
censorship.
If we were doing shit like this, they would kick in that fucking door and they would arrest me, right? Bam, and then bam, there'd be a bullet in my head, right? And
Yeah,
no other
or
country in the world can you get on public. Look at us. We're on public. We're on the website. We're susceptible to millions of
yeah,
views all over the world talking shit about our government, and
yeah.
they don't give a shit. And that's
No,
wonderful.
they don't.
And
No,
that's
they don't.
wonderful.
I
God
disagree with
bless
you
America.
100%. And
All right,
I
keep talking,
100%
Jeff.
disagree with you. They don't have to come to your house and take you out of your house. They can just decide to not like you and go through everything you've ever done on the internet, post it, slam you, try to bully you. What's the difference? I'd rather get shot. I'd rather get blown up. Dude, I want to go out in a blaze of glory. I keep explaining that to my wife. Like, if I know that I'm dying, I'm going to look for the first fire, and I'm running in. I'm going to try to save anything I can, and then I want to go down in the whole house of flames. I want to go out.
This guy is crazy. We don't.
No, I do.
Podcast.com does not subscribe to.
I do not want to go out. I do not want to go out laying there sick. I want to go out like
In flames?
what?
In flames, though, you literally want to burn
That
down.
hurts.
I would rather be shot multiple times as I try to make my way towards the
Well,
guy.
I'd rather be shot real quick. Yeah.
I would rather hold a grenade, dive on a grenade. Now we're talking about ways I would off myself. I would like to.
Okay, but like,
well,
think
a blaze
about
of
this.
glory?
At least if you die on with a grenade, then your family's not gonna be able to have any of you. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna like
I don't.
blow to bits.
Probably will
Yeah,
hurt a little bit.
they'll just gather up all the stuff, make it into ash. There he is. What's the difference, right? They could even just scoop in some dirt. They'll never know to make it look like I was a little heavier. And my wife would be like, he wasn't this heavy. Is there dirt in this ash? So, but anyways, yeah, I don't know. I want to go out like, I want to kind of go out like my uncle did, in a blazing car crash, not asleep like the driver.
Ugh.
When the vodka sets in, buddy, is when the Norm Macdonald in me kind of comes up, and in my head, I'm thinking, keep going, keep going, keep going. But then there's a part of me that's like, let mess with somebody, just say something, mess with someone. I have to fight that inner jerk. I think I have an inner, what's called an inner. People have inner childs. I have like an inner asshole jerk.
Inner.
Yeah, I do.
It's
Joey
inner.
Paranormal has an inner Captain
You
America.
sure it's inner, Mike?
Yeah, no, that's true. Inner, outer, potato. Guys, this is the first show of the week. Tomorrow we have It's a Legit Metaphysical World at 8:00. On Wednesday we have
She's got a good guest too. She does essential oils. Lori DiPetrillo. She's Italian, Mike. Bruno, and she married an Italian, Mike. Will be Dale's guest, Dale Beluccio, who also married an Italian.
I want to know if DiPetrillo has anything to do with the old DiPetrillo's pizza.
The bakery. Oh my God, they have the best bakery pizza ever, dude.
Oh, God. The pizza strips? Oh my God, Maronda me. See, you made me lose complete track. Oh, anyways, Wednesday is Legit Paranormal News at 8:05. Thursday is Legit Paranormal Clips 8:05. Fridays, I think at 9 will be Bigfoot Daniel Benoit or Daniel Bigfoot Benoit. with his cryptid show.
Daniel has a lot. Speaking of somebody who has a lot of good clips of Bigfoot and cryptid stuff, Daniel is the bee's knees.
Buddy, we surrounded ourselves with a great group. We're actually probably the worst too.
Probably.
I feel sad now, but I'm gonna move on because it's probably the truth, buddy. It's probably me and you.
Yeah, we're just at the bottom, Mike. We're just gonna push up.
No, I feel sad, buddy. Hugs later.
We'll hug later, Mike. Yep.
All right. So,
Next Sunday. Can I just throw this curveball?
Yeah, you might as well.
Might as well. Next Sunday, we'll be joined by author Daniel Duke. Daniel Duke is the second great grandson of legendary gunman Jesse James. You might have heard of him. And he comes on. His books entail Jesse James and the Lost Templar treasure, and the whole treasure of the Confederacy and all that. Oh my God, we're gonna be talking about conspiracies next Sunday. It's gonna be crazy, but he's gonna take extra Valium and extra scotch. So please tune in next Sunday for Daniel Duke.
Yeah, I just hold on. Because you said Daniel Duke, and you said he was somehow related to Jesse James.
Yeah, buddy.
All right. Not related to David Duke, though, right?
No, we do not support David Duke and his racist views. Fuck you, David Duke. Burn on a KKK crucifix.
I'm making sure. Yeah, I'm actually. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm looking up, make sure they're not related. No, we're good.
We're good.
Something about that name being related to Jesse James.
I know. I thought the same thing at first too, Mike. I heard Duke and I'm like, whoa.
Jai, when you heard Daniel Duke and related to Jesse James, you were like, I'm not listening to this guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of went, way back in history.
So, like, and you go back and nothing good.
I've been banged all wiped out. Snacks. Come on now.
I'm going to go on the record, buddy, and I'm going to say that guy, David, he's a real jerk.
Who?
The David
Duke. Oh my God, yeah.
I'm going to go on record and say he's a real jerk. You think that's true?
John Walker, Black Label, does not support David Duke.
When he's advertising the booze he's drinking, Jai, I know it's time to wrap up the show. Jai, is there anything you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
I'm having surgery, so I might not be in some shows coming up, but keep prayers up, positive energy, send it my way, please.
Yeah, you're gonna be good. I always have feeling when someone mentions like a procedure, and I'll be honest, sometimes I've had bad feelings, and they kind of go, it's been bad, but I kind of have a good feeling about this. I think this one will be I think it'll be easier than you're expecting. I think this will be the one time you get something easier than you expect. That's kind of how I feel about the whole thing.
That'd be great.
And here's the thing, buddy, I do make some crazy predictions, like when it comes to stuff, football, people.
Crazy predictions when it comes to stuff. Mike will say something's gonna happen. And I look at him like, no, and it's like, and it comes through. I'm like, oh my God, this guy, and not just once, twice, 5, 6 times. It's like,
so
fuck. I guess I believe in what this guy says.
We're at Brother Ray's house, and I'm watching the game, and I said to him, "Don't worry, he's gonna throw interception here," and then he did. And then I did something else in the game, and it happened. Now, Jai, how is that not paranormal? Like, the ability to kind of predict things that are going to happen. And the only reason I always make these predictions is because I literally see them.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's paranormal. I've had the same thing.
So like, you know how it's going to end up,
is.
and you kind of tell somebody it, like, out loud. Like, you'll be like,
it's like, I mean,
now,
I can even read an article and they'll say, I'm sorry.
No, I want to hear you. Is what I'm listening.
Oh, I was gonna say I can even read an article, like a news article, like if someone's missing or something like that, and I automatically get a feeling whether they're dead or alive.
Oh wow, yeah. See,
and I can also tell
good
when people when people murder kids or whatever or people, I I can immediately, when they get up there and do their little cry for, bring my child back, blah blah blah, I can immediately tell you if they're guilty or not. And I've never been wrong.
See, reading a person, that's different too, though. I agree with that. There's a
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
high skill in that. But
But
it's
yeah, you do get it.
the thing is, like, buddy, have you ever had, like, I call them, what they are is they are useless premonitions. That's what I get. Useless premonitions. Like, they don't affect the world, myself, my health, but it's like, hey, buddy, I bet you this guy flips the ball in the next handoff, and then he just flips the ball, and it's like, hey, I got it right, but I don't get nothing
Oh.
for it.
What's
I mean, Jai,
paranormal is I'm praying for Tom Brady to win this game and to come back because he's losing right now. That's paranormal, if anything.
why are you praying for Tom Brady to win a game?
Because I picked Tampa Bay in a parlay, Mike, and all three
All right, I'll
of the
root
games of
for
my
you then.
parlay came true, and this is my fourth game. I picked all the losers, and all the losers came through, and I just want Tom Brady to be the fourth loser that comes through.
I've gotten every game right except for your Dolphins.
I got my Dolphins. I picked my Dolphins, and they covered the spread.
So,
They didn't win, but they covered the spread.
So, Jai, I'm sorry we're talking football. The only reason I want Tom Brady to win is because I want Tom Brady to win, Giants beat the Eagles, Tom Brady to beat the 49ers, and then let us beat Tom Brady one more time so that he never wants to see a Giants uniform for the rest of his life. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So, Jai, wrapping up, good luck with the surgery. We need you on the Clip
Thank you.
Show. That's where we're gonna need you. Me and Kevin Hart. We want to get you
No
back
problem.
for Thursday nights. Buddy, you want to say anything else that you
I
haven't
do,
already
Mike.
said?
Believe it or not, I do want to say something. Next Sunday, before you catch us with Daniel Duke, not David Duke, but Daniel Duke, you can catch us at 12:30, Mike, because we're going to be on Paranormal Buzz Radio. You, me, and Joey Paranormal as guests on a radio show that I booked months ago. And don't look at me like you're making faces like a confused pigeon in Kennedy Plaza. But I know you remember this. I
It's a
booked it.
Saturday?
I'm like, everybody, I can show you
It's a Sunday?
it's a Sunday. We're doing it at 12:30.
So we're not gonna do football?
We'll do football, and then we'll go right into this.
Where's our
Football's
house?
at 11. This is at 12:30. So we'll do football, and then we'll do this
What city?
for 45 minutes or so.
It's a 45-minute ride?
Yeah, and it's taped. So
No. How far is the ride?
You do it right from your home, Mike.
Oh,
So you
I
can
don't
have
have to
the
go
Giants
anywhere.
right in front of you.
No, the Giants are on Saturday night. So we're gonna be on a radio show on Saturday that they're gonna pre-tape.
We're gonna be on Sunday, Mike.
Okay,
It's gonna
Sunday.
be pre-taped, and it will premiere the following Friday on Paranormal Buzz with Shay Carroll. You get to see my beautiful face. Look at my beard. Doesn't it look amazing? At 43 years old, it's all still ginger. You get to see me, you can see Mike, and then Joey Paranormal.
So what is she gonna ask us? Like, what does she want to know
We're
about
gonna talk
us?
about doing paranormal radio, Mike, and you being like me and Joey being the investigator, and you being the outsider, if you will, and us giving you the associate's degree in the paranormal, and how much you're a bitch, and how much how you like the Giants.
Buddy,
I just thought I'd see that.
don't make me slap the amber off your face, please.
I'm
Please,
sorry,
don't.
Mike. You're not a bitch.
Get a hold of
It's okay,
yourself.
Mike.
Control yourself, please. All right, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm settling down. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this show because I can't wait for someone to ask me a question, and then I get to give an answer. I don't know how it's gonna go.
You be quiet while other people talk, and then like somebody will ask you a question.
Well, if it's not my show, I'll shut up. But when I'm hosting, I don't want to shut up. So yeah, I'll listen. I'll see how I do. I actually think that's going to be pretty fun to watch on playback because I wonder how much of Joey she edits out. Like the cutting room floor, they must be like, just edit out this paranormal guy. He doesn't, just get rid of him, cut him. Cutting room floor, Joey. Cutting room floor. All right. With that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Tomorrow night, it's a legit metaphysical world. with Auntie Dale. So for Giant Mac, for Buddy Money, it is me, Mike Upper King Mike Hill. This was Legit Paranormal Open Bar, brought to you by legitpodcast.com. All of our shows are streamed live from our website. Make sure you go to www.highharvest.net for the best in edibles, legal medicinal marijuana edibles. Thank you